Hello and welcome back once again to Total Extreme Wrestling, and we are going to have the final 2 nights of the men's brackets, and then in the next episode we will be able to crown our first ever MCW Champions. So let's jump straight into that. If you're looking forward to it, please do leave a like down below, subscribe, all the good stuff. Let's jump in. And our show opens with a bout that had great wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd. Chris Brooks defeats Zack Sabre Jr. in 9 minutes 10 with a surprise cradle. A very unexpected victory for Chris Brooks, handing Zack Sabre Jr. his first MCW loss, I believe. Certainly the first one in the tournament, and it gets a rating of 40. Zack Sabre Jr. with a 57. He is absolutely fantastic in the ring, and also they have great chemistry, so that is even better to know. Again, similar to what happened in the last video, it's chemistry between two guys who are both on the same side of heel and face. In this case, both faces, but it's good for us to know for in future. Following that, we have Brittany and Saraya having a little promo against each other. Gets a rating of 33. Yeah, just kind of them both saying why they're going to beat the other in the finals to become the first ever women's champion in MCW. And then after that, we are back into ring action. And we have another great wrestling bout and a decent reaction from the crowd. Once again, Martin Kirby defeating Clint Majera in the hardcore match. 9 minutes 48. Gets a rating of 41. Martin Kirby once again putting on a very good show for us and pulling in ratings. He's doing absolutely fantastic bits. I think he could be a mainstay for us for a long time to come. Following that, Clint Majera is furious as Martin Kirby celebrates his win. He's not in contention to win the bracket. However, he's still putting a good performance. I think he's like third place in it. We'll have a look at the end of the tournament, which will be, as I say, in this episode. Next up, we have Rampage Brown. This one's a decent match as he beats Trent Seven in 7:41 by pinfall with a sit-down powerbomb and gets a rating of 31. So this is a bit of a cooler match. However, still keeps us chugging along. I forgot to mention, we're in front of 95 people this time around. So we are getting close to that 100 fans marker, and hopefully we can hit that when we have our titles being decided. Following that, Zack attacks Marty before their match. Desperate to get a win, Zack Gibson still yet to win in the B bracket. Can he pick one up after attacking Marty Skull before their match? He does so, defeating Marty Skull in 5 minutes and 2 seconds with a frog splash. It was an extremely short match. Gets a rating of 27. I'll be honest with you, it's a case of Marty Skull had 2 matches left, so we had to get them both done in this episode, and this was the first of the 2. So he does get a loss. 27 rating, but hopefully our main event can get us back on track, and I'm sure it will because it's got Lionheart in it. And it does indeed. A bout that had superb wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd. Lionheart defeats Pete Dunne in 12 minutes 45 by pinfall with a heart stopper. Pete Dunne was off his game in this match, and it still gets us a 46 rating overall. Pete Dunne with an in-ring performance of 37, so he's doing pretty well himself. And after the match, you know it's coming. Dave Mastiff attacks Lionheart, putting him through a table with a powerbomb. Rating of 35 for that. And most importantly, in 2 weeks' time, these two have got to face each other, and Lionheart is going to be going into it very roughed up from the constant attacks of Dave Mastiff. But overall, the show getting a 42 rating, so another very good show for us. We're going to tell Chris Brooks he had a good performance. Martin Kirby can, for the second week in a row, be told he's on a good performance, and will also compliment Lionheart, of course, on a great performance in his case. And they're all happy with those speeches. So next up, we have the final matches in both brackets at MCW Live. And now it's time for the men's brackets to come to an end, and it's in front of 99 people at Featherstone and Hilton. I'm fairly sure when we crown our champions, it is going to be in front of at least 100 people, which would be absolutely fantastic. And we start the show with a bout that had superb wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd as Pete Dunne defeats Marty Scurll in 8:28 by submission. A 45 rating to open the show, despite Marty Scurll being off his game. What a start to the show. And Pete Dunne with a important win that puts him pretty high up in bracket B. So he's one of our top performers in that bracket despite not winning. And I believe after the match we have Trent Seven attacking Pete Dunne, which gets a rating of 20. So a little bit of tension going on between those two. And we are now going to be going into what is the bracket A decider, Rampage Brown and Zack Sabre Jr. So Rampage Brown, I believe, is on 10 points. Zack Sabre Jr. on 8. And if Zack wins, we're going to have a tiebreaker between the two men. And of course, if Rampage wins, he is undefeated and going into the final to decide our first ever men's champion. And in a bout that has good heat and decent wrestling, Rampage Brown defeats Zack Sabre Jr. in 11 minutes and 3 seconds by pinfall, but only by using underhanded tactics. So Rampage Brown, while the referee's back's turned, bringing out the brass knuckles, hitting Zack Sabre Jr. and stealing the win. So he's undefeated. However, he's had to cheat to get there. But despite that, it's still putting him in the finals and a chance to win our championship. After the match, he indicates very clearly that he's going to be winning the title, just the little round the waist thing that wrestlers do. And that gets a rating of 24. And next up, we have potentially Ricky Knight's final ever match. And in a bout that had a decent reaction from the crowd, however subpar wrestling, Chris Brooks defeats Ricky Knight by submission with an octopus stretch, which confirms bracket A has finished with Rampage Brown as the winner. A segment rating of 21, and Ricky Knight taps away his wrestling career. After the match, however, as he bows out in front of the fans, Zack Knight attacks him, attacking his own father on his retirement night and absolutely disgracefully beating him down. And the arena in shock at what they're seeing as he's just brutally beating down a man who wants to retire. It'll be interesting to see how the rest of the Knight family take such a disrespectful and vicious attack on a man who has, again, he's retiring, and that's when Zack chose to do that. However, back on track, we have our main event, Lionheart versus Dave Mastiff, and they come out for their main event, Lionheart with his ribs taped up from the constant attacks of Mastiff. And the little introduction, their entrances gets to 26, and I'm hoping we get a fantastic main event to finish off the show. And in a bout that had superb wrestling and good heat, Lionheart defeats Dave Mastiff in 14:05 by pinfall with a leap of faith. The match gets a 50 rating. Absolutely phenomenal. I think that might be our best match in MCW so far. And of course, that confirms that bracket B has finished with Lionheart as the winner. And after the match, Rampage Brown comes out and they have a little square off as we see what is going to be our finals. One of these two men, Lionheart or Rampage Brown, will be the first ever MCW champion. And the show gets a 43 rating. Doesn't increase any popularity because we've already had that. However, it's going to be imperative here that we praise Pete Dunne on a good performance, and I think we just praise Lionheart and Dave Mastiff for those final performances, because a 50 rating is absolutely phenomenal for us at this level. And just to round us up then, let's have a look at all of the championship brackets. So in the women's side, we had Saraya Knight cleanly win bracket A. And then in bracket B, of course, we had that draw, which resulted in a triple threat, which Brittany Knight won to go into the final. So Brittany Knight and Saraya Knight is our final for the Women's Championship. And for the Men's Championship, bracket A ends with Chris Brooks actually finishing second with 10 points. I did not realise, I'll be honest, that I booked him to win that many matches. But absolutely brilliant for him. Zack Sabre Jr. finishing third on 8 points. And of course, Rampage Brown topping the group with 12 points. Elsewhere, Ricky Knight retires on 0 points. Roy, Trent and Zack all picking up 4 points each. So pretty even between those three. Chris Brooks having a phenomenal tournament without me even realising that. That's completely genuine. I was thinking he was going to be on like 6 points. And in bracket B, we have a phenomenal performance from Lionheart, who of course wins it undefeated despite the rib injuries caused by Dave Mastiff, who finishes second with 10 points. Pete Dunne picking up 8 points. His only losses were to Dave Mastiff and Lionheart. So a fantastic performance from Pete Dunne. And then we have Clint Majera, Martin Kirby both on 4 points each. And finally Marty Skull and Zach Gibson on 2 points each. So that is our finals set. Lionheart versus Rampage Brown for the MCW Championship, and Brittany versus Saraya for the MCW Women's Championship. And that will be in the next episode, hopefully in front of 1,000 fans. If you have enjoyed that, please do leave a like down below. Comment your predictions for those matches. Subscribe if you're enjoying the content, and thank you very much for watching.